I've got grave concerns out here at Stahnsdorf, something like that. The name escapes me. I've never been in a cemetery like this. It's all forested so far, and it was quite a hike to get in here. And finally I'm coming upon the Südwestkirchhof, which is buried here in the woods. I've already been walking 15 minutes, and there you can see the church in the distance. This kind of wooden Moravian looking thing. I think it would be kind of cool to walk up this valley entrance instead of the road. Let me just take a look here. But this is remote southwest Berlin, and it was an adventure just to get here. Between the S-Bahn and the bus connections, and then to get just sort of dropped off, on the side of a busy road, about 15 minutes walk into the church, into the cemetery. This is very mossy here, but when I say I've never been anywhere like this now, because I've already seen a bunch of graves just walking in, it's truly a forest cemetery so far. It's just a bunch of stones strewn around the forest. For example, Tiefgraber, 2016, fairly recent. And the stones are just all over the place. Some pretty inaccessible and overgrown areas, others a little more available close to the path. But this is quite an entrance here, and probably the main highlight of this place is just coming upon this church, which of course is used as the main setting for the Netflix series Dark. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking. I'm about halfway through myself. I hadn't watched it. It's all in German. You got to use the subtitles. A little wet right here. So yeah, check this out. 1891. Ursula Kuhn. There are hundreds of notable individuals in this cemetery, but I think you have to be German to appreciate a lot of them. There's composers and architects and lawyers and bankers and industrialists, every walk of life. And I want to say it's the second largest cemetery in Germany, with the largest one being outside of Hamburg. That's a cool looking stone from the 90s, actually. So I'm not going to know most of the people that I encounter here, but I'm sure there's a lot of cool stuff to see, just like this one here. Passerini, Melior, Enrico, died in 1940. Nice Art Deco looking marker here. But this is the view for sure. And the sun's popping out, so it's not true to the Netflix series name of Dark. It's quite bright right now, and they really got a nice setup here with this bench and this view of the wooden church in the middle of the forest. Quite beautiful. I guess I just missed the bells. I didn't hear any bells. It's a little after noon now, unless that clock is wrong. Let's just see here. There's a little mossy path. I've seen quite a few groundskeepers trucking around here, on the way in at least, but nothing since. So I think just the remoteness makes this place kind of sparsely visited. I've seen a few people biking around, so there's essentially nature trails here. And just again, so you can see these graves in the forest. Here again from the 40s. Quite peaceful. And they're all around me. There's just stones everywhere in the forest. And this place is massive, so I'm just going to kind of move through and see what else. But I expect there's going to be areas with just more traditional looking areas of stones. This one's got a nice relief on the left here on a Haman. 1904. Okay, quickly coming up on this building here. Well, that is a beauty. A little informational here. Südwestkirchhof Stahnsdorf. So Stahnsdorf is a little town. And yeah, there's a lot of sections here. And all the instructions are in German, and we've got even a list. Engelbert Humperdinck is here. I wonder if I'll run into him. That is not obviously the current singer. Walter Gropius is here. That's surprising. Oh, that's got to be senior. Died in 1911. Bauhaus architect. Because junior is in the U.S. But yeah, so Engelbert Humperdinck, who the singer got his name from, was a composer. Hansel and Gretel. He died in 1921. It's a strange enough name for the musician to have taken. Carl Ludwig Mansell. F.W. Murnau is the main attraction here, I think. The silent filmmaker. There's a Richthofen, Ferdinand von Richthofen. Maybe related to the Red Baron. Not sure. Probably a common enough name. Gustav Werner. Heinrich Zella. Edmund Rumpler, Georg Graf von Arco. A lot of interesting names here. Lovis Corinth, Impressionist painter. Yeah, I've seen some of his work. Or her, I'm not sure. I think that's a he. So yeah, plenty of folks to stumble upon. Let's see what we can see here. I want to get a closer look at the church. Got a nice outbuilding here on the left. I want to see some of the detail here in this portico. Alpha and Omega. I wonder if I can get in there. It looks like I might be able to. Oh, now it's dark. Awesome. Camera's probably picking up more than I can see. cool. They just leave that open. So if you've seen the Netflix series, it's all about time travel. And at some point they're in the future and this church is wasted. And of course it's movie magic, so the cave that they feature in that show where people enter to pass through these little black holes, I'm sure that's not quite here. I don't know where that is. It's probably somewhere in the forest here, but it's obviously nothing like they depict. Yeah, a little bathroom action, that's nice to know. This is going to be an adventure here. I have no idea what I'm going to find. A lot of sheds and groundkeeping buildings I've seen so far. Then we get a back view of the church as well. Or I venture into the forest. What a place. Where to begin? I guess I'm just going to go up the trail here. Field 6, and I've got the fields marked off here. Adolf Kronke, 1934. Other folks dying in 37. Nice mossy path here. So, F.W. Murnau, if I manage to come across him, is a silent film director most well known for Nosferatu. And he did a Faust as well, and a few others. I'll save that for when I find him. A lot of graves from the 30s here. 35, Martha Lunt, just to get a look at a stone. Closer look, since I'm just going to be passing through a lot of forest here. One could get lost here. So yeah, it took me a good 2 hours to get here from North Berlin. But that was mostly because the S-Bahn line was disrupted and I had to take a bus. It should take about an hour from the center, if you're lucky with your connections. Which I wasn't. I hit snags all along the way. But it's basically in between a little section of Berlin called Teltow. I'm going to get down to Teltow, and Potsdam, which is a beautiful city west of Berlin. So it's in between those two, just out here in the country. And a bunch of small towns along the way. There's all these little German small towns, they're not super interesting. Okay, here's a pretty cool memorial here on the left. Look at this. I don't know if we're going to get a name off this one, but it has that nice, sorrowful sculpture. There are some names. Irene Krieger, 1937. Actually recent to 2017. Obviously an older family stone. Moss covered. Nice forest. Nice original, real forest. None of this reforestation stuff. And there's a gorgeous memorial up here, passing through Field 11 now. Not only is this, I mean, it's just the setting here, you know. This is a beautiful looking memorial crypt up ahead, and it's the whole experience of the entrance and coming upon these things. But again, just so you get a sense of this place, I mean, just grave upon grave, all scattered through the cemetery. I mean, through the forest. Scattered through the cemetery, too. It's a cemetery and a forest all at once. This is beautiful. This has an Art Nouveau quality to it. If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's sort of pre-Art Nouveau in a way, 1880, I'm going to guess. I don't even know if we'll get a date here. It's always hard to tell with the Germans, too, because they will imitate styles from the past. There is a name up top, but boy, that's a tough one. Morsum. But no, I'm not seeing any dates here. No dates. There's a bunch of stuff here, though. Let me head this way, actually. Take a little detour. (1915). It's an interesting one. This is big arch for Otto Dreyer, 1924. Mueller, 24. Hemtemacher, 1912. It's unusual, just this wall. Thy Will Be Done, Luke 11:2, for a broken up looking Ludovicus, maybe. That might be more Bible quotes, Leviticus, I don't know, it's all broken up. I'm really getting in the woods here now. This is overgrown. Prickers. Well, there's not poison ivy out here like we have back in the States, because if there is, I'm going to get it today. And I'm highly allergic. I've never caught it out here, so hopefully not. Family Runge, 1930s. Beautiful statue. And then a bunch more. The odds of me finding any of these graves that I'm aware of, like von Siemens or Murnau or Humperdinck, are feeling slim. It's just too big. Ugh. I like to come upon them. It's kind of annoying to have to try to plot these things on the vague maps that they have. I'm thinking maybe I'll just come upon an area that's a little more obvious. But you never know. So some of these are very large, beautiful, significant tombs, and they're just kind of scattered out here. So yeah, I've been enjoying that Dark series. I basically watched it because I knew I was going to come out here. And it's a little confusing because they have characters that move through time, so they've got young and middle-aged and older versions of the same character, and with the subtitles and all that. On the first watch, it's a little tough to figure out who's who, but it has that paradox aspect where there's always this concern about impacting the future, and like a Back to the Future thing, like interfering with the past and annihilating someone potentially. And there's strange themes in it of like a child who goes into the wormhole and pops out and sort of lives his life in the past and grows up and has a kid, and Then that kid ends up going down the wormhole and discovering that, his father was someone he knew as a child. And it's very strange. But it's good. It's entertaining. These are beautiful. I love the setting here. Look at this. I gotta get a look on the other side, but just behind me there's this awesome one. Johannes Leo Bischoff, who died in 21. But there's older graves here going back to the 40s, it looks like. But I just love that statue in the middle. Never seen anything like it. These just have a great mourning quality, solemn in all of this solitude. All these downcast faces. Hugo Alexander Katz has a gate just kind of in the middle of nowhere. Pretty cool. This green iron gate. All these little temples. It's very romantic, as the Germans do. This look of antiquity that has been abandoned, that's made to look a bit ruined and like it's been out here since Roman times. I feel like this wall has that going on. Ferdinand von Richthofen. This was one of the notable graves, 1905. And really interesting carvings up top with some German phrase, Ich lebe unter Soldauk Leben spricht der Herr. Not sure, but it looks like he was some kind of a geographer or geologist. Voldemar Rotermund. Schrader. Hank Schrader. His ancestors. I do see those the names, I think of, what's the character? Werner Ziegler. I've seen, people with that exact name in these cemeteries. These Breaking Bad characters. This is an overgrown path here. I'm hearing a highway in the distance. Hard to see that one, Burgell's or something like that under all the ivy, but again, these overgrown graves really just have a certain look to them. All the ferns are in full bloom here. There's kind of a thing in Germany. They're sort of crazy about their spargel. So, I got here in late spring and asparagus is for sale everywhere. And this is similar back home. People get into what they call fiddleheads, which are baby ferns. And they have a similar quality. They get that kind of pink and green look to them. If anybody knows anything about plants and edibles and stuff, this seems to be similar to me. You get these sort of really beautiful, nutritious plants like fiddleheads and asparagus that just grow for a very limited time in early spring. Prickers here, and I'm wearing shorts. Oof. This headless angel with a feather for the, looks like Kronig family. Got the Cairo and the Alpha Omega up top as usual. Cairo for Christ. I'm getting buried out here in the forest. I have no idea how long I'm going to be on this path before I can emerge into an open field. It's unusual, I have to say, all the cemeteries I've gone to, you're just sort of used to seeing this array of stones. Udo Becker, this is cool. Beautiful carvings on this, beautiful detail. 1905. I'm just going to go a couple more here, and then I'm going to pop out to my left where it's going to be a little easier for walking. More 1905 graves here. Broken columns, Kairos. Cool stuff. But yeah, let me pop out. It's definitely going to be a two-parter. I don't want to have to come back here, but I may. If I don't find Murnau, I'm going to have to double my effort. Let me just pop in here for a second and see. It's just like a connecting trail with not much, yeah, kind of empty. But I got a beautiful day here. It's sunny and cool, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius maybe. So couldn't ask for better weather. So there's the trail I was just on, off to the right. And it's interesting, so there'll be little cut-throughs like this one here. Beautiful colors on that one. In the distance, it's kind of like green and pink. Maybe I should just stick to the overgrown path because we're here to see graves. And taking the quickest way is not going to facilitate that. And I want to see this thing because I just love the colors on this. Philatelist, stamp collector, 1925. That's dedication. To put your hobby. Maybe he was a stamp designer, I don't know. I like to collect ephemera because it's cheap, it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it wasn't built to last, so I like the fact that it survived. And it's just a great way, if you like to go to antique shops and collect things, it's a nice way to just get something when you go shopping without breaking the bank. You can get several old postcards or prints, for like less than $10, and it just goes in the pile, and it's a nice conversation piece, and sometimes very decorative. Carl Rung, I love this. Look at the old vines up top. 1908. Very Art Nouveau. Holy cow, look at these prickers. How am I even going to get through this? This looks treacherous. I gotta show you this. Yikes. That's not going to feel good. I've got to go underneath it. Alright, here goes. Ah! Slightly caught, not too bad. I'm earning this one. This is another beauty of this woman with roses. Victorious is the family name. Looks like 1914 is the oldest. Little blackbird hopping around back there on a dirt pile. Cute little yellow bill. Probably hard to see. Carl Eckert. All right, now we're talking. Opening up a little bit here for the Hoffman family. This is amazing. Look at the colors on that. What a design. Again, very Art Nouveau, 1898 for Hildegard, Fritz 1910, Hugo 1911, prime Art Nouveau period. Full family going back, earliest one 2019. But what a look on that thing. And this is just out now in the middle of a field here. Finally an opening. I'm going to swing around slowly so I don't make you dizzy. Looks like a peacock, but it's not. It's just a drain pipe. They could have made it look like a peacock. So a bunch of graves here. These look like war dead. Most of these people are dead in 45. So these are probably just people who died in the bombing of Berlin. But you never know. It's hard to say. I've got people dying in 42, 43. Again, always a little bit unknown here in Berlin when you're dealing with people who died between, say, like 33 and 45. If they're Nazis or Third Reich or just general citizens. These look like war because it says, for example, I get down here, Friedrich Jung, 1891 to 1943, but then it says 39 to 45. So, you know, I don't want to say these are Nazis, but they could be. Somebody, you know, there were a lot of Nazis. That was the main thing if you were here. I'm going to go back where I was. That's just such a beautiful, that Hoffman. What an impression that makes even from a distance. So yeah, these are probably just your average Third Reich soldiers. But again, without knowing for sure, you don't know if people are prisoners of war or what's going on. So, and around here too, you've got a lot of military graves from other countries. You've got Soviet graves. Not too many Americans, though. I haven't looked that up. Seems that most of the Americans, you know, in World War II died in France and were either buried there, like in Normandy. And actually, I want to say today, as I'm recording this, is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. It's June 6, 1944, and today is June 6, 2024. Karl von Kuhlein. It's quite a door on his. Am I going to venture down this path again? Why not? So yeah, there's people, really probably the last time World War II soldiers, the few who've survived to this point, are commemorating D-Day at Normandy. I have a friend from back home who flew in for that, kind of a military guy, and he wanted to take his kids to teach them about the war. And so, yeah, I don't find a lot of American service graves here, and it's not like Normandy. Once again, the Cairo and the Alpha and Omega. Probably the most common theme I see in the German Christian graves. But yeah, the other thing with the Nazis is if they're prominent at all, they're going to be not marked. That cemetery that I visited on Invalidenstrasse is filled with prominent Nazis, but their stones have all been removed. Their bodies were not disinterred. Schmidt-Damas. Nice rusty door here. Let's take a quick peek inside there. Since my camera will adjust once it gets a poke in there. I can't see that, but I see that the camera's picking up something. That's where the little flashlight would have come in handy. People have suggested, but I'm traveling and I don't have the big flashlight, so that's not happening. But yeah, so they just don't want people commemorating. They don't want neo-Nazis, anything like that, showing up and making gathering points out of significant Nazi grave sites. So they've removed the stones a long time ago. There's a big program of denazification after the war. So, but you know, if you go to the small towns, if somebody's interested in that, they can find them. They're out there. There's plenty of Third Reich stuff still available in Germany. In fact, I went to an exhibit that talked about the artists of the Third Reich and the architects, and how somebody made it a project to go and map out all of those locations and statues, different artworks, public artworks that can be seen. Some of those people, some of those artists were fairly young in the 30s and 40s, and they went on to have full careers in both West and East Germany. So it's out there. And I'm not a particular Nazi hunter. I certainly am not interested in, you know, commemorating any of that stuff. But it's out there. A lot of it's depressing. Lagenscheit. It's quite a door. Let's take a closer look at that symbol. Gustav Lagenscheit died in 1895. There is an audio guide for this place. I didn't get it, and it does exist. You can see there's a little headphone marker thing on the this little commemorative marker in front of it. And these are just out here. Another Mueller. I like the roofs on these things. Old copper roof. So yeah, I have yet to encounter another human outside of a few groundskeepers, and even not one of those since I've been recording. So it's a lonely cemetery. It's big and lonely. And I'm just getting deeper, further in.